Good morning and thank you for listening. Today I will present my summative subject assignment for Module 7SLE 2018-0905-2024 in alignment with the Initial Teacher Training Core Framework ITTECF titled Subject Knowledge for Teaching, a Practice-Based Assignment. This assignment focuses on integrating subject-specific knowledge and classroom practice to support pupils' learning in modern languages with a particular emphasis on French. In this subject and curriculum knowledge assignment, I will explore an innovative sentence builder resource I have recently used in a Year 8 French language class of 30 students. In regard to the context of the school is a high-performing, partly selective grammar school situated in Hertfordshire, catering to students aged 11 to 18. It has established a strong reputation for academic excellence and holistic personal development. With a rigorous educational program and a selective admissions process, the school attracts high-achieving students from the local community. It consistently achieves exceptional academic results and boasts an impressive record of university placements. Firstly, to explore the theoretical foundation of language acquisition and pedagogical approaches that support the teaching of a French sentence, we must acknowledge that language teaching in UK secondary schools is guided by key national frameworks, including the National Curriculum, the Teaching Schools Council's TSC Pedagogic Review, and the Ofsted 2021 Languages Review. These documents collectively highlight a comprehensive approach to language education that prioritizes grammar instruction, vocabulary acquisition, and cultural understanding. The Ofsted Review highlights the need for a structured curriculum that develops pupils' linguistic competence through planned, progressive learning experiences. The TSC Pedagogic Review recommends explicit grammar teaching and meaningful contextual learning, while the National Curriculum instructs that students develop communicative skills across speaking, listening, reading, and writing. These frameworks advocate for a nuanced pedagogical approach that goes beyond memorization by repetition learning, focusing instead on developing students' linguistic confidence, cultural awareness, and ability to communicate in the target language. Secondly, when designing effective language learning resources, it is crucial to consider multiple pedagogical approaches that work in harmony. The PPP, Presentation Practice Production Cycle, provides a structured framework for introducing new language concepts, while cognitive load theory reminds us of the importance of carefully managing the amount of new information presented to students. To exemplify its use in a typical language lesson, using the PPP cycle and cognitive load theory, a teacher might introduce the present perfect tense for discussing life experiences. The presentation phase would involve clearly explaining the structure and usage of the verb to have or has, plus past participle with visual aids to reduce cognitive load. During practice, students might complete gap-fill exercises or matching activities, gradually increasing in difficulty while carefully managing the amount of new information. For production, learners could engage in a Find Someone Who activity where they move around the classroom asking each other questions like, have you ever visited Paris? This allows for real-life language use while still providing a structured context. Throughout the lesson, the teacher would use simplified text and visual support to enhance comprehension and minimize extraneous cognitive load, ensuring that students can focus on the target language without being overwhelmed by unnecessary information. Thirdly, Willingham's simple model of the mind provides essential insight into language learning by explaining how information moves from working memory to long-term storage through deliberate practice and meaningful connections. His model emphasizes that working memory has limited capacity, typically holding only 4 to 7 items, making it crucial to break down complex language structure into manageable chunks and use spaced repetition to strengthen memory pathways. This understanding complements Dean's downward spiral theory, which explains how anxiety and negative experiences can hinder language acquisition. The theory highlights that anxiety interferes with cognitive processing, creating a self-reinforcing cycle that affects language production. By integrating these theoretical frameworks, educators can develop more effective teaching strategies that balance cognitive load management with emotional support. This might include structuring lessons with scaffolded activities, incorporating error-friendly exercises, and using collaborative learning approaches to reduce individual pressure. The combination of these approaches helps create a learning environment where students can process and retain new language elements while maintaining confidence and motivation, ultimately leading to more successful language acquisition outcomes. Now, dear colleagues, let's have a look at the strategic approach to developing language skills through sequenced learning journey in Year 8 French. Our lesson on What Are You Reading Right Now is not an isolated activity, but a carefully planned learning experience. It builds directly on students' prior knowledge of basic present tense, simple opinion phrases, and question formation. By introducing a sentence builder focused on reading materials, we are expanding students' linguistic capabilities beyond basic communication. The current lesson is strategically designed to push students' language skills. We are moving them from simple statements like I like to more sophisticated expressions that require complex sentence structures. By using a scaffolded resource with vocabulary, connectives, and descriptive language, we are supporting students to construct more nuanced communications. Looking ahead, this lesson set the foundation for more advanced language skills. Students will be prepared to discuss broader media preferences, explore different tenses, and develop critical writing skills like comparative analysis and review writing. This approach embodies modern language teaching principles, contextual learning, scaffolded support, and progressive skill development. We are not just teaching French, we are developing confident, articulate French speakers as set by the national curriculum in 2014. Gianfranco Conti advocates for the use of sentence builders in language teaching as part of his extensive processing instruction (EPI) approach, which is grounded in usage-based theory and skill theory. He emphasizes that effective language learning occurs through repeated exposure to consistent language patterns, allowing students to internalize these structures and achieve automaticity, where language skills become second nature and can be used effortlessly. Conti criticizes traditional methods like the PPP presentation practice production model for the lack of contextual learning and overemphasis on explicit grammar rules. He argues that sentence builders facilitate a structured way of modeling language, helping students to engage in meaningful practice that mirrors natural language acquisition processes. By using sentence builders, teachers can prime students with high-frequency, high surrender value language chunks that are essential for effective communication, ultimately fostering a more engaging and brain-friendly learning environment. Focusing on automaticity rather than just mastery means aiming for a level of language proficiency where skills become second nature and can be performed without conscious thoughts. Conti explains that automaticity involves moving language learning from working memory to long-term memory, where it becomes permanent and easily retrievable. Furthermore, Conti adds that sentence builder are a better tool for low-attaining students. Furthermore, Conti's approach to language learning encouraged me to use a sentence builder resource in a Year 8 French classroom, titled Qu'est-ce que tu lis en ce moment? What are you reading at the moment? Its aim is to support students in developing the ability to construct sentences about books and opinions in French. And this sentence builder is designed to firstly introduce and reinforce vocabulary related to books, genres, and opinions, then to support grammatical accuracy by providing structured scaffolding for sentence formation, including connectors, et, parce que, mais, opinion phrases, je pense que, à mon avis, and descriptive language intéressant, passionnant. And finally, to encourage fluency and confidence in speaking and writing, enabling students to combine phrases into more complex sentences. Regarding the design features, the resource includes 3 main sections. On the left column, there is a list of different reading materials in French with English translations to support pupils' memorization of the new vocabulary. It includes options like magazines, books, and animals, horror stories, fantasy novels, police novels, romance novels, manga, comic books, and connecting phrases. In addition, it provides conjunctions and transitional phrases such as et, parce que, car, mais, même si, and opinions marker like je pense que, à mon avis. And in the right column, there are descriptive adjectives which offer vocabulary for expressing opinions about the reading material, ranges from positive words like intéressant, interesting, and passionnant, exciting, to negative ones like barbant, boring, and nul, rubbish. To sum up, the purpose of this resource is to help French language learners construct complete sentences about their reading habits and opinions, enabling them to practice vocabulary, grammar, and sentence structures in a meaningful context. The layout enables students to build sentences by combining elements from each column, such as Je lis un manga qui s'appelle et c'est passionnant. I'm reading a manga which is called and it's exciting. To evaluate pupils' learning during the lesson, it has to be said that sentence builders represent a transformative approach to language acquisition. offering differentiated learning experiences across student capabilities. For high-achieving students, they quickly decode linguistic patterns using the sentence builder to create complex linguistic constructions. These students move beyond reproduction to experiment with language, demonstrating linguistic creativity and advanced comprehension. However, it can also be restricting for them as they are not completely creative. Our students with special education needs find sentence builders particularly useful. The visual structured approach reduces cognitive complexity. By providing clear, accessible linguistic frameworks, students are not just experimenting with French, they are building their confidence. The students experience immediate success, seeing themselves constructing grammatically correct sentences, which transforms their perception of language learning. Low-attaining students benefit equally. What was once an intimidating linguistic exercise becomes doable. The sentence builder acts as a linguistic map, guiding them step by step through sentence construction. They experience the joy of successful communication, reducing anxiety and increasing motivation. Critically, these resources are not restrictive templates, but dynamic learning tools. They scaffold learning, providing structured support that gradually diminishes as students' confidence and competence grow. We are essentially providing linguistic support, allowing students to experiment independently through French language acquisition. By embracing such differentiated approaches, we are not just teaching a language, we are opening cognitive pathways, building confidence, and democratizing language learning. While sentence builders are highly effective for scaffolding language learning, they may pose limitations for some high-attaining students as the rigid structure can constrain creativity and linguistic exploration. The controlled nature of sentence builders does not always mirror real-life communication, where language is more dynamic and context-dependent. Additionally, mismatched grammatical structure can arise, such as affirmative and negative sentence combination, leading to awkward or inaccurate constructions. For example, during the lesson, some students attempted to use the negative to say, I don't read manga, je ne lis pas manga, instead of the correct, je ne lis pas de manga, highlighting a gap in understanding grammatical rules. Furthermore, the school's Senko recommended that colored sentence builders be used to support SEND students, as visual aids can help these learners better navigate and differentiate between sections, making the resource more accessible and inclusive. These considerations emphasize the need to adapt sentence builders to meet diverse student needs and supplement them with activities that encourage flexibility and deeper grammatical understanding. Our sentence builder for Qu'est-ce que je lis en ce moment represents an implementation of Kanti's language acquisition principles, demonstrating significant potential in scaffolding Year 8 French learners' linguistic development. Drawing from Kanti's research on chunking and high-frequency structures, the visual design supports cognitive processing, enabling students across different ability levels to engage meaningfully with French language production. However, critical reflection reveals opportunities for improvement. For example, integrating more authentic materials, providing digital activity, and incorporating deeper cultural context could optimize the resources effectiveness. Also, future interaction might include phonetic support, native speakers audio, for instance, and personalized learning pathways, transforming the sentence builder from a static tool to a dynamic, learner-centered language acquisition instrument. An alternative approach could involve using authentic French book reviews as a starting point, then deconstructing this into a sentence builder format. This would align with Kanti's emphasis on using authentic materials and could provide a more challenging option for advanced learners. Ultimately, this approach exemplifies responsive pedagogical practice, continuously evaluating, refining, and adapting resources to meet the evolving linguistic needs of our students. Reflecting on Kanti's emphasis on chunking and the importance of high-frequency structures, I have observed that students are internalizing these chunks more effectively than with traditional vocabulary lists. This aligns with Kanti's assertion that language learning would focus on the acquisition of lexico-grammatical patterns rather than isolated words. In conclusion, a well-designed sentence builder rooted in sound language acquisition theory and implemented with thoughtful pedagogy can significantly enhance French language learning. It provides a structured framework for input and output, reduces cognitive load, and allows for focused practice of key language structures. By carefully considering the design, content, and implementation of sentence builders, teachers can create a powerful tool to support their pupils' progress in French.